Hello guys, and welcome to the Podcastagram first IGTV video. Today we are interviewing an up-and-coming podcaster, Anthony Carrick. How are you, Anthony? As you can see, we've supplied him with a Guinness to get his creative juices flowing during this interview. So we're going to crack on straight away. So the first question, we have a few here for Anthony, and the first one is, what made you get into podcasting?
What made me get into podcasting was podcasting kind of got to a stage for me where it almost became a bit of an obsession. I used to listen to podcasts kind of, every other day, and then gradually it built up to the point where I started listening to podcasts every time I went out in the car. I didn't even switch on the radio anymore, listen to podcasts. So if I'm not listening to music in the car, I'm basically listening to podcasts. If I'm going to bed at night, I'm listening to podcasts. It just became a complete obsession. It got to a stage where I kind of said, you know what, it's something I'd like to try myself. I had a few bits and pieces I would like to, kind of talk about. So I just said, look, I'll just go for it.
That's great. And the second question is, do you think it's important to base your podcast channel around a topic you love? Obviously yours is Arsenal. Your channel, the podcast channel is called Republic of Arsenal. And so, do you think it's important to base your podcast around what you love?
It definitely helps. Like that one, I kind of first started out, I kind of dabbled with a few kind of ideas. I kind of made a start, kind of ran out of ideas then. And then when I narrowed it down and sort of said, what am I passionate about? What do I know a fair bit about? What's going to provide me with enough content that I can, keep it going and be able to give quality content as well. So definitely it helps to sit down, make a plan, really think about what you're passionate about, what you know about, and what you enjoy talking about. Definitely.
Yeah, that's a great answer, because I think if you're doing a topic that you love, you can have more passion for it, a bit more flair, and be more comfortable.
Definitely.
So I'm just wondering, what platform did you use to start your podcast?
Yeah, starting out, a good friend of mine recommended Anchor FM. So I started out on that, and it's a really good hosting tool. It has everything on it. I'm a complete amateur myself. I'm not doing it very long, but I've been able to crack away lots of episodes. I've had people, message me and say, they really enjoy it. And like I said, I'm just a normal guy with a laptop, with a microphone, and the app itself does a lot of the stuff. You can crop and cut bits and pieces from episodes if you make mistakes. You can save recordings, and they'll also provide, you can put music, intros, bits and pieces like that, and they will actually push it out onto other platforms for you, the likes of Spotify and Google Podcasts and loads more. So it's a really good place to start.
That's great, guys. So if you're starting a podcast, maybe give Anchor a go. I know a lot of new podcasts are using this, so it's a very easy app to use. So this is a big question, and going through my DMs, I'm asked this a lot, because I try to push a lot of up-and-coming podcasts and give them exposure. So what would the cost of starting your podcast? Is this a fear a lot of people have, especially in the current climate?
Yeah, look, I would have been the exact same. It probably put me off for longer than it should have at the start. Sometimes you'll watch videos, and if you're like me, I'm really into the Joe Rogan podcast. I think nearly everybody is, and you see the big studio setup. They've got the big professional mics, they've got the headsets, and you're saying to yourself, I can't afford all that sort of stuff. But literally, all you need, a laptop or a computer, a microphone like this. It didn't cost me very much. A mouse, that's it. You're pretty much ready to go. Like I said, if if you set yourself up on a good hosting platform, the likes of Anchor, it's completely free. So couple of euro or dollars, wherever you are, it's really, really easy and affordable to do.
That's great, because a lot of people worry about the cost. A lot of people worry about what could go wrong. Where I think people should worry about what could go right, isn't it? You need to be positive, and especially in this pandemic, this lockdown, you can get a lot of stuff done with your spare time. So yeah, the cost's not a big thing, really, is it?
No, definitely not. No, I was surprised how affordable it actually was.
Yeah. Now I know your podcast is fairly new, but lately you were asked to be featured in other people's podcast channels on YouTube, etc. Was this a big sense of achievement because your podcast is so new, and how did it come about?
Yeah, it really was, because like I said, I only kind of started it off just to try something. I just said, look, I'll give it a shot. As I said, it's something that I'm passionate about, and I just said, look, it's just going to be a hobby for me to do in my spare time. If anyone listened to it, you know, if I got any messages, I would have said, you know what, that's great. Like, any feedback was welcome, even if it was negative. You know, I would have been happy just someone had taken the time to listen. So when you start getting people messaging and saying, you know, I really, really like what you're doing, I like the content you're putting out there, would you be interested then in coming on my channel and, you know, sharing a bit of your insight and your knowledge? And it really kind of took me by surprise, but at the same time, it was like, it's unbelievable, you know, and it really does drive you to, you know, keep on doing what you're doing. It gives you the push, you know, the days where you kind of go, you know, what, am I going to do it again? Will I keep it going? You know, the more and more people are responding, it definitely, you know, kind of keeps the fire burning inside, you know, to just keep on cracking away with it.
Yeah, that's great. It's great when people reach out to you to they notice you and they get you involved, because there's a great podcast community out there, you know.
Yeah, 100%.
So what does the future hold for Republic of Ireland podcast now? I love the name of this podcast because I'm a green-blooded Irish male, so I love it. So what's the future hold for your podcast, do you think?
Yeah, well, look, as I said, I only started out just as a hobby, just to kind of give me something to do. And the more and more feedback I'm getting, you know, it's helping me build the momentum. So, you know, I'm taking it step by step. I sort of said to myself, if I could get 5 episodes out there, I'm happy. Now that I'm starting to get a bit of feedback and people inviting me onto, you know, their podcasts and their YouTube channels, now I'm seeing how other people are doing their thing, and it's giving me ideas and inspiration. So I'm trying to kind of take from, you know, some of the people that I'm now working with are kind of influencing what I'm hoping to do in future. Like, I want to set up, I have a couple of different platforms, but I'd like to set up like a YouTube channel eventually, and just keep putting the content out there. And I'd like to get to a stage where, you know, people are kind of going, even, you know, okay, it's an Arsenal Football Club related podcast, it's based in Ireland. If I could even get in, like, you know, the top 5 that people kind of go, you know, that's what I'm going to listen to, this guy, you know, gives good content and stuff, I'll be happy. If I get to that, then I'll reevaluate myself again and kind of go, right, what's the next step? Where am I going to go from there? So I'm kind of taking it bit by bit, but yeah, you know, hopefully it'll take off.
Yeah, it's great to see your podcast growing, and it's great to see you working around your work life and stuff like that. You know, the sky's the limit is whatever work you put into it yourself, you know. And as people know, Podcastagram supports people. We feature their podcasts, we get them out there, we help them get exposure and a few listens. So that's great to see a podcast like yourself growing. So have you any messages to someone thinking of starting their own podcast?
Yeah, if you're thinking about it, just do it. Just go for it. I thought about it for a long time, and we all have the kind of fear and I guess it's the idea of, you know, someone judging what you're doing is enough to put you off. You just kind of have to get to a stage where you say, you know what, I don't care, like, I'm doing this for me, this is something I want to do, I'm just going to go ahead with it. There are going to be people who react negative to it, but then there will be people who will react positively to it that you might not necessarily be expecting, and definitely the positives will outweigh the negatives. So just, if you're thinking about it, go with it. Don't expect your first 10, 20, even 100 episodes, they're probably not going to be unbelievable. You're probably going to look back in a year's time and go, I cannot believe I put that out there. But this is how we learn. It's all practice, so just go with it.
That's great. So, Anthony, it's been great to come on here today. It's great to have our first IGT TV video, and we're going to do a lot more of these interviews and different segments like this. So, I think it's time you plugged your own, you deserve to plug your own podcast and just tell people where they can find it on different platforms and stuff like that.
Yeah, so look, you can find me on Spotify and Anchor, the platform I was talking about earlier. It's Republic of Arsenal. You can also get me on Twitter at Rep of Arsenal, and I'm on Instagram, Republic of Arsenal. So, hit me up.
That's great. So guys, thanks a lot for listening. If anyone wants to be involved in Podcastagram, if someone wants to for us to feature their podcast, it's all free. DM us. We want to get the podcast community together and help you grow, get exposure. So any questions, I want to be featured, DM me. And a big kudos to Anthony for coming on today. I think we're going to leave him now to enjoy his Guinness. So thanks a lot, guys, and stay safe.